2015's Independence Day Resurgence. What a disaster of a disaster movie. And as bad as that joke was, this review's already better than the movie. Like, I'm a huge fan of the original Independence Day that came out in 1996. I mean, what a fun little movie. I mean, I'm saying little, it probably actually had a pretty significant budget, but I mean, it wasn't some like life changing, morality driven, changes the way you think and look at life. It was just, a fun invasion movie with great special effects, a great cast, and fun, interesting characters. So when a sequel was announced, I was really excited. I was pretty much immediately on board with it, and my excitement just kept growing as more of the original cast started to sign on to it. I mean, Jeff Goldblum was back on it. The actor who played his father in the original movie, the actor who played Dr. Oaken, that kind of quirky scientist, he's back in it. Lone Star Bill Pullman as the president is back. So I was really excited for it, even though Will Smith apparently turned down and didn't want to be a part of the movie. I was really looking forward to this. So I went to the movie, I watched it, and I left just with no energy. Like the movie sapped the energy out. It sapped my will to be happy. But after the movie, I remember we went to a local bar with my buddy that I went with, and we just started talking about the movie. And as we are talking, he actually brought up a really good point that I piggybacked off of, and we kind of came up with a fun theory that fixes. Well, it doesn't fix the characters in the movie. It doesn't fix any of the characters' motivations. It doesn't fix a lot of the stupid physical logic of the movie. It does, however, fix one of the biggest problems of the movie, which is the kind of entire motivation, the entire premise that the aliens are here. It fixes that, and that is such a big part of the movie that it makes like a 2 out of 10 movie a 4 out of 10 movie. It's still bad. But before I get into that, I'm just going to get in and explain a bit of the movie, some of the setups, some of the different characters, some of the good and bad things about it that are no good, so just the bad. And we'll just jump right into that. So let's talk about the characters. So the original Independence Day had amazing characters. Every character seemed to have a purpose, a point. They had a backstory. You cared about them. The new one, they just kind of wrote some really weird scenes in order to shoehorn past characters in, almost like cameos, but they did it really, really lazily. Like there's this one scene with Dylan, that's Will Smith's son from the original, where he basically steals a fighter jet to go save his mom, who's on top of a hospital roof, but the building falls, and he's all like, "No, mom, no, you're dead."
Get on board, get on board.
We gotta go right now!
Mom! Pull her up! Pull her up! No! No, Mom! No!
But it has absolutely no bearing on his life. It doesn't change the way he thinks. It doesn't change his personality. It's irrelevant to the story in every way. The only reason that scene was in the movie is so that the actress who played Jasmine, his mom, just to give her a cameo, just to give her something to do in the movie. Like, it's really annoying because this character Dylan was written as a very straight arrow kind of character. Buy the books, be the best soldier you can be. And then the first thing we actually see him do that's soldiery is he abandons his squadron. Just Batman's fades away into the night, abandons his squadron to go save his mom in a fighter jet, who just happened to have been on the top of the roof, which he's in a fighter jet. It's not like he can like hover and like lower a rope down. It's not like a boat and she's at sea. Like, nothing about this scene made sense. It's stupid. And like I said, it's irrelevant to his character. He's the exact same person after that scene as he is before. Like, if they made him like a loose cannon who was really cocky and arrogant because his dad is Will Smith, who's a wartime hero, a big hero, probably a famous superstar because of his involvement in the first movie, and so like if he had that kind of cockiness, that attitude, the loose gun who even though was really talented, the army just kept him around because he's a legacy, he's Will Smith's son. And then after his mom dies, it would have been really interesting to see him be like, all of a sudden the stakes become focused and it's much more real to him, and becomes the good soldier that he should have been, the soldier that his dad would have been proud of. That would have been good. That's not what the writers did, though. They just lazily shoehorned in a cameo that killed his mom that didn't actually change or affect the story or his personality or character in any way and was completely useless. And that's just one of the bad cameos. Probably one of my least favorite plots of the entire movie is the Levinson, I don't remember his name, Jeff Goldblum's father, that character. I mean, I always thought it was really funny. You know, I loved the kind of chemistry he had in the original Independence Day. So I was really looking forward to him. But his entire plot is completely 100% irrelevant. Doesn't affect anything else in the story at all. His entire plot is just there to be like, look, it's that old man. It's the old Jewish guy that we thought was really funny. Oh, cool, he's back. Like his entire plot is like he's like on a boat out in the ocean. I don't remember. Probably the Atlantic Ocean, I'm guessing. I don't really remember. I haven't seen the movie in a while now, but he's on the boat and the giant mothership. And by the way, this mothership is so big that they, even from the trailers, they have the line, where did it land? Over the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, but where? Like, no, all of it. The ship is so big, it's literally the size of the entire Atlantic Ocean. It's so big, it's so much gravity that when it like comes into orbit, it's literally lifting skyscrapers and cars up from the gravity. And yet when the ship leaves over other cities, all of a sudden it magically doesn't have gravity anymore because this movie has no logic. But even though this thing's over the entire Atlantic Ocean, which you can only imagine would cause worldwide tsunamis, earthquakes, and everything, even though Jeff Goldblum's father is literally in the ocean on a boat, probably the worst possible place to be, he kind of like rides the tsunami wave, the tidal wave, you know, onto shore. And then he finds kids who also survived, and they steal a school bus, and he drives the school bus to Area 51. And it's like, even though this ship was ripping skyscrapers from the ground and shit, apparently it cleared all the debris from the roads, give them very nice, easy access to drive, and never bothered them or never mattered again that this thing was ripping buildings from the ground. Literally never brought up, has zero bearing other than to be a really cool CGI fest. And that's another thing that's bad in this movie. The CGI is very, some parts were cool, but it just felt, the original movie, like when they do like the blow up the White House and stuff like that, it felt real. Like I think they probably just used miniatures and stuff. But the thing is, they were really blowing things up for that movie. And this one, it's so obviously a CGI fest. The way the camera moves and works is a way that a real life camera can never do. And it just makes you, like internally, you know that what you're seeing isn't real. Even if you want to invest yourself in this more than anything, you just can't, because you're just very painfully aware that you're watching a CGI fest and not something that's real. So Levinson, his entire plot is completely useless. He drives the kids to Area 51 just in time to get stomped by a giant bug, and now he's like, oh, we got to drive away from the bug. You could have completely cut his entire story out of the movie, and it wouldn't have changed a single thing. So the characters in this movie are terrible, terrible, terrible. Bill Pullman, the freaking president, the strong, our Independence Day. And in this movie, he's like some sad old man that has hallucinations and like needs medication, and everyone's like kind of tiptoeing around him. He's like, we need to give him the respect because he's a former president, and not only former president, he's the freaking war hero president that saved all of Earth. But he's also like a senile old man now, so they're kind of tiptoeing around him, and that was just like, why would you just like discard him like that? So the movie had a lot of problems. But the biggest problem I had was the motivation for why the aliens are here. So as far as I can remember, it was never brought up in the first Independence Day, at least not specific. Like there's a scene when the alien has his like tentacles around Dr. Oaken, and he's communicating through Dr. Oaken to the president on beyond the glass. And Bill Pullman's like, oh, they're parasites, and they go planet to planet taking resources. Well, apparently the resource they're taking is our sweet, beautiful, juicy, molten core, which is just stupid. Apparently, in '96, when they first attacked, they actually brought like a mining ship that just started like mining down in like Africa, and then there's a whole like African warlord subplot that's stupid. I'm not even gonna get into the stupidity of that plot. And so it's like, apparently the whole reason the aliens came was to get our molten core. But what's so incredibly stupid about that is that Earth is far from the only planet with a molten core. Planets with molten cores aren't even close to being rare. There's several in our own solar system. So why would the aliens attack Earth, the one planet that doesn't only have life, but has Randy Quaid on it? Why would you attack the one planet with Randy Quaid? The one planet that can fight back? You aliens are stupid. But now let's get into the theory that kind of fixes and patches the motivation of the aliens. So basically it's been, a few decades after the first film, or almost 2 decades after the first film, and our technology has skyrocketed. Like a lot of our technology was actually based off of when the first ships first crashed decades ago. So like we reverse engineered a lot of our modern technology from that. But the problem is we didn't really have a power source, so there was only so much we could crack open. Then when the aliens showed up in '96, as all the lights started turning on, he got really excited at the possibilities of what we could learn about the technology. So because we had so much more abundant technology and we actually had a way to study them with the power source, we closed the gap technologically quite a bit. We now have advanced spaceships, we have a moon base, we have levitation stuff, we have alternate fuel sources. We've come a long way. So we create a moon base. And the theory is like we don't know when or if someone's going to attack us, but we now know that there's other life out there, and we know that at least some of that life is a threat to us. So we need to protect ourselves. So they finally see, after years and years, they finally have an incoming alien vehicle, and not really that big of a surprise. We're kind of like shoot first, ask questions later. We waited last time, we're not waiting this time. Turns out, whatever it was, that it wasn't the original aliens, it was a new species. I'm just gonna call it a sphere robot thingy because it's a sphere around ball. And apparently this thing is a sentient life form, but a mechanical one. Apparently it came from a race that was so evolved they uploaded to a virtual resistance. Yeah, that's how evolution works, right? Yeah. And I'm going to be get into the morality of like, or the philosophy of like, is it even life anymore, or is it just simulating life? Like if I upload my conscious to a machine, it's closer to cloning than, but I mean, like, whatever, that's a different discussion. The point is the sphere robot thingy is the last of its kind, the last of its species, because the bad aliens attacked its planet and destroyed everything. So the sphere robot thingy has been trying to warn other races, being like, hey, there's these bad aliens coming to kill you, and they kind of take a subset of that species and take them to a hidden refugee planet where they train the refugee planets how to build weapons and fight the bad aliens. So that's why it came to Earth. Shortly after, the bad aliens come, and this time they come with a giant mothership, the one that covers all of the Atlantic Ocean, and they start mining down to our gooey, molten, juicy core. Doesn't make any sense. Like, they have monument-destroying lasers, but they didn't use them this time. Their ship is so large that its gravity alone tears up cities. But they don't actually focus on exterminating humans, which is really weird since they could have probably done it with a blink of an eye. Why? Now for the theory. So the theory is that they didn't care about our molten core. I mean, since they're here, they might as well mine and take it, but that's not why they're here. The whole reason they came here was to lure the sphere robot thingy to come warn us and protect us. The goal of the aliens was to capture the robot so that they can learn what it knows and learn the position of this refugee planet. They didn't think that humans were much of a threat to it, despite Randy Quaid. Randy Quaid is dead. They don't need to worry about humans anymore. So their biggest threat is this refugee planet with a bunch of other alien species fighting against them. So the aliens really want to capture this robot to learn where it is. That's why they attack Earth again. They attack Earth to lure the sphere robot thing. That's why as soon as they detect the signature, they all of a sudden abandon the mining process and they go straight to, they send their queen, the most important being in their entire civilization. They send their queen out to capture the robot because it's that important to them. That's why everything happens. Because of a refugee planet and a sphere robot. Fuck this movie.